So after we finished the Haltech installation itself, we continued on to do some work on the throttle pedal harness. Our particular installation is we were using the original Subaru pedal, and very crucially, we have the connector that we need to continue to use for that pedal for that particular pedal, and we need to adapt that to the Haltech pedal harness, throttle pedal harness, and that one is actually structured for a Corvette, and so the Corvette pedal would have this kind of connector, and this is very similar to the one that Subaru uses, but it's a different size. And as a result, what we had to do was to try to refit these wires into the Subaru connector itself. So what we did is we gave ourselves enough of a pigtail essentially to cut, the connector, and then what we did is we matched the Haltech wiring. As you can see here, you've got black with a white stripe, then you have white with a brown stripe, an orange, another orange, white with a red stripe, and a black with a white stripe. So those particular signals, when you look at them here, of significance is AP1 and AP2. So this is what they call actual pedal position, number 1 and number 2. And the rest of the signals are very, common, essentially, like sensor ground is common, and the 5 volt is common. And then we had the one extra wire that comes with the Corvette harness, and it's for the brake. So what we did with that is we simply put a connector to I think it's a green-brown wire or something like that, and basically we ran that to the back of the car where the signal light was, because on the brake switch for the Subaru, it's such a tiny piece of wiring to be able to, create a splice. It was under the dash, and we just kind of went, okay, well, what's the easiest way to do it? Well, the easiest way to do it was to actually make a connection, at the Corvette harness, and then run a wire to the back brake light, essentially, and we spliced it in there and connected it up so we have a brake signal whenever that happens. And as a result, we now have a completely, functioning wiring harness that connects to the Subaru. And these are the wires that, we kind of sussed out that basically, are roughly equivalent to actual pedal position number 1 and number 2 circuits, essentially.
Yeah, so just to add a little extra piece of information, so what we use is the brown wire in the back that's actually the brake. So that's the brake light.
Oh yeah.
So we connected it to the back harness in the rear. You can come here and I'll show you. So it's actually on this harness right here. So on the harness in the back of the vehicle, inside of here, there's actually a brown wire. That brown wire, we connected it here with this blue one, and that's the brake. And that is what Don was referring to about going back to the Corvette harness, which has a brake signal that goes into the Haltech. Because you can do some really cool things, right? With the Haltech.
Oh yeah.
When it comes to, you can you can have a decision tree for something to happen. Right, so you got to have the clutch in, you have to have the brake on before you'll actually do a reverse lockout where you'll enable it or disable it. So it's actually kind of neat. So that's why brake was important for us to have that in.
Yeah, yeah. And the routing, is, pretty much along the body and along the sill of the door, essentially. So it's easy to tie that in, with tie wraps, and it's out of the way. And so it just made that installation a little easier for us. We've tried it out on the other car, and it works, quite well.
Yep.
And as Richard mentions, the Haltech itself, as an ECU, has a little bit of a function like a programmable logic controller, and basically, its ability to use tables or decisions to be able, or conditions essentially to make decisions on whether you should be able to start or run or reverse lockout or what have you. Very, very convenient. I don't know that every ECU has that, but certainly the Haltech does.